Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to create simple paths using geometry nodes and curves. So let's get started. First, I'm going to quickly show you what I have in this example scene, where I've spread out a simple grass model all over this plane, and with these two curves that I have set up above, I am able to edit the paths that I've set out based on their location, rotation, even their height is considered, as they're based on the proximity inside of the geometry node system on the plane. Now, I'm going to teach you guys how this is set up, and I'm also going to teach you guys how to convert this attribute over into the shader editor to be able to separate the path from the grass, let's say. So anyways, let's get started and we'll see you in a bit. All right, here in a blank scene, we're gonna start by just adding anything. So it could be a cube, whatever. Splitting the window, hopping into geometry nodes, we're gonna add a new system, a new node tree, and just get rid of that input. We don't really need it. We'll bring it if we need to if you want to pull back anything into the geometry nodes tab here, all you need to do is go to here into group input, bring it back. We're gonna keep it here just in case. But now we're gonna bring in a grid mesh just so we can keep control inside of the geometry nodes tree. I'm gonna make it 10 by 10 with vertices both in the X and Y at 200. If we quickly look at the wireframe, we can see that's fairly dense. This is so that we have plenty of points for the proximity to detect. So this is based on how high res your geometry is. So it is recommended to put a pretty dense base. So carrying on, what we want to do is scatter. So what we're going to scatter is points, distributed points on faces, join the geometry together. After that, we want to instance something on these points, so we're going to instance on points. In this case, I'm going to keep it simple and just bring in a cube. But this could be your own asset or collection, whatever you want. I'm going to scale it to be the right size. So now we have our scatter cubes on a plane that we can control procedurally. Nothing new here. So now we're gonna create the curves. Creating the Bezier curves, scaling them up to the size that I want, and making sure to apply that scale by hitting Control A, scale. I move it up so it's just above the plane. Now, if we click on this pinned here, it's going to pin the node tree so that no matter what we select, it's going to still show that node tree. We could actually rename this node tree to proximity curves or something, whatever you want. So now what I want to do is I want to import this Bezier curve or whatever it's called into the node tree just by dragging like that. It's important to keep it on original so that it stays in the world center where our plane is. Or not the world center, but like wherever the origin of our base geometry is. So like since this is a plane, it's going to start here in the center. And if you want to move it around, all you need to do is use a transform, move that around there. Carrying on. Since we kept our plane in the center of the scene, this is no problem. We're not going to bother moving it. So we're gonna need a geometry proximity, attach the curve into the target, and from there we're gonna attach it into the selection of the distributed points. Now you're gonna see they all disappear. Well, you might think, oh, this is a line, so we're gonna need to change it to points. Nothing still appears. If we click here, we see input geometry has unsupported type curve. That's because geometry proximity needs geometry, not curve data. So what do? We need to go to curve, curve to mesh. Brings our points back, but we still don't have what we want. So what can we do? Utilities, map range. I like to set it to smoother step, and then we play with it. Here you can see adjusting this top number here from min. We can open it up to a certain point and then it flips over. So what we can do is set a utility compare, not compare, sorry, Boolean math and set it to not. What this is going to do is just flip the value if we want it to be bigger like this, or if we don't, we just delete that and work with this. In my case, I'm going to try something out very quickly, so I'll be right back. Alright, so after experimenting for a bit, I found a little way. So if we see here, we see that it goes 0, but once it reaches 1, it flips over. We want to fix that. So what we do is a utilities switch node. Make sure to switch this to Boolean. Put that into false. Utilities Boolean math, set this to not. Connect that in there, set this to true. So now if we are above 1, we want this to switch over into true. But if we're below 1, we want this to be false. So we need to read this value. And from there, we need to compare it to a value greater than 1. That would mean that if A, which is what we're going to connect into, is greater than 1, then it's true. If it's less than 1, it's false. So we're going to quickly connect that in there. Now for this to work, both this value and this value needs to be the same. Needs to be the same. We can't connect here because it's taking all of these values at the same time. Now what we can do is add an input value node, or we can connect from up here. So if we connect this from here, add a little deviation point, connect that here, you can see we get no flip, and we just get a smooth transition. We could further edit this by pressing on the N tab, going into the group tab, and switching this from minimum 0 so that we don't go too far over, and maximum 100 so we don't go too far above. You could edit this to your needs, but this is plenty for me. In fact, even just anything above 10 is a bit too much. So I'm just going to set it to 10. Default will be 0. So now it doesn't go above 10, but it doesn't go below 0. So we're not getting any errors. Continuing on. We now have a curve node outside of this geometry that is controlling the path. Now, what this allows us to do, if I go onto top view, pressing 7 on my numpad, switch into edit view, I can now change this path by changing the curve. However, if I go too far, we're starting to see the curve's individual points. This is because it is sampling a 2-point curve. Now what does that mean? It means that there's only this endpoint and this endpoint. We need more in the middle. So in order for us to get there, we need to expand back here and create our new system before it gets converted into a mesh. So let's go into curve, resample curve. You could have count or evaluated, but I prefer to have length and keep it at 0.1 meters. Whatever works for you, it works. And now you see, no matter how far I stretch, it's 0.1 meters between each of the points. Of course, I could change that on the fly, and that's what makes this procedural. So now we can continue and make maybe Shift D, have this be another path and cross this over like this. And then if we want this path to be thinner than the other, we can just change its proximity, which changes the overall size of this specific curve because it's now moving away from the from the target geometry. And then we see our path is thinning. If we go higher up, our path expands to its maximum value. Now that's fine. Then if we go into material mode, we see it's all still the same material. Let's go add a new ground material, call this ground. And we're going to assign that to the plane so that the boxes don't get influenced. So we need to assign it in this path. So let's go to material, set material, select our ground, and let's make it a dark colored so you can see that only our ground is selected, but we want our path to be a different material than our scattered areas. Let's get to work on that. We know that this is where the information is stored, and we need to convert that into a black and white color. So using a color ramp, plugging that in, organizing a little bit, we now have a color output, which if we go here, go to attribute, store named attribute, set this to color, attach this color into the value and just give it a value called color. We have now captured or stored the name in a named attribute this value in a black and white color ramp. If we go into the shader editor and bring up attributes, type in color. Let's hold Control Shift if you have Node Wrangler enabled. We could see our black and white mask controlled by these curves. From here, we can make a simple setup. Is either two completely different principal shaders or just a color mix RGB, and we put the color into the factor. Have one be blue, the other be red, so you can actually see it. And you see that we now have a different path. And if we go back into geometry nodes, into our actual node network, we can refine that a little bit, make it sharper, make it softer. We could, of course, change the influence, change the density, maybe even change the sharpness with this from max. Which you could also plug this in, give it a maximum value and a minimum value, like we did with the first one. But this will do for now. So let's set this back down so that it's more of a path and not so much of a, I don't know what that was to be honest before, but yes. And now you can see this is a very, very simple path. And with this, we could also do some other things, such as changing the position of the actual ground, or uh, isolating this path by only selecting the geometry that's in the proximity. But really, sky's the limit. There's so much more you can do with the proximity node. This is just how to make a quick, easy, simple path. After this, you just render out what you need and done. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and see you all next time. Peace.